Our guest today is British-Nigerian businesswoman Tokumbo Aruoture. While she once dreamed of becoming a doctor, she discovered her true passion in designing luxury furniture and rooms for children. Her clientele includes celebrities, sports personalities, and royalty.
Your gift is that thing you do so effortlessly that everyone thinks is such a big deal except you. And for me, that was interior design.
Born in Edinburgh, Scotland, Tokumbo Aruoture spent her formative years in Benin City, southern Nigeria, alongside her parents and two brothers, before enrolling at Command Secondary School, a military boarding school in Kaduna State. At the age of 17, she returned to the UK for her A-levels, with aspirations to follow in her father's footsteps in the medical field.
I spent much of my childhood poring through my father's medical books and looking at skin diseases and pictures of abscesses and the human body cross-section. And I knew, we all knew, that I was going to be a doctor. You could say the story of my life had been written and it was a good one. My name actually tells the story of my life. Toks is short for Olatokunbo, which means brought back from over the sea.
However, falling short of the required grades, she studied pharmacology at the University of Hertfordshire. It was during her second year there that she married her partner, discovering her passion for interior design while transforming their new home. Deciding to pivot from her career in pharmaceutical sales, Tokumbo embarked on a journey to become an interior designer, launching her business with a focus on residential properties. Subsequently, she expanded her expertise into retail, establishing her first store in the United States, where she developed an affinity for craftsmanship and luxury furniture. Following the loss of her business during the 2008 financial crisis, while expecting her fourth son, Tokumbo returned to the United Kingdom. Recognizing a gap in the market for luxury baby furniture, she founded a new company, an online shopping destination for expectant parents. 5 years later, she transitioned the venture into a physical store called the Baby Cot Shop on King's Road in Chelsea, London. Tokumbo's exceptional work has garnered attention from major British and international publications such as Vogue and Hello magazine. She's been recognized as a finalist at the prestigious Kensington and Chelsea Business Awards in 2018 and 2019, as well as being shortlisted twice for Retailer of the Year at the Women in Business Awards in 2015 and 2016.
I believe that I can only truly meet a person when I'm being authentic, and they can only get to know me if I'm being authentic. I also believe that we were all placed here on earth for a specific purpose, part of which is helping the people that cross our path. But then if you're not being yourself, no one's going to recognize you.
Passionate about passing on her knowledge to others, Toks also hosts a podcast called Living Inside Out. In July 2020, she was selected as one of 50 business owners by the UK government for their Great Inspirations campaign, which honoured businesses that responded admirably during the COVID-19 pandemic. Coming up on the program, we speak to Tokumbo Aruoture about living the American dream and starting over following the 2008 recession. Please stay with us. luxury interior designer Tokumbo Aruoture. Thank you so much for joining us on Diaspora Network.
Thank you for having me.
So what was it like for you, living both in Nigeria and the United Kingdom as a young Nigerian?
Well, I grew up in Nigeria, as you said, and I had the time of my life growing up there. I lived in Benin, which was very spacious, slightly more rural than Lagos. And I just grew up very happy. I had wonderful parents who continued to speak life to my brothers and I. And I grew up a very happy child, not aware of challenges in the world, so to speak. And then I came to the UK when I was 17. And the intention was to go to university and then go back to Nigeria because I wasn't exactly looking for anything here. I didn't feel like there was anything missing. One of the catalysts for me leaving the country was the university closures. And so that put me off. And I also had issues with a lecturer. That's another story. And so I came over here as a Black woman, as a Black girl. I didn't recognize any form of discrimination, but it's not because it wasn't there. It's because I didn't grow up with it. So I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what discrimination looked like because in Nigeria, you grow up as a girl. You don't grow up as a Black girl. So having to come to England and then be defined as Black was new for me. I would say that it was uncomfortable. But because I couldn't quite put my finger on what was uncomfortable about it, I still didn't recognize it for what it was. But it's been an interesting journey. I'm very, very involved in my Nigerian community, my Black community as a whole. And I run a business in an affluent part of London, which is not predominantly Black. So again, that's a very different experience from when I first arrived.
Looking back at your younger years, is this what you thought you would be doing right now? When did interior design come into the picture?
I fell into it. So it's funny because I remember as a child growing up in Benin, I remember on rainy days we would stack wooden stools up. I would stack them up and turn them into little kiosks and stalls. And then I'll take all the tins out from the kitchen and all the bits and bobs and toys and arrange them and force my brothers to shop with me with Monopoly money. But it was just a way to pass time. I had zero desire to go into business. I actually wanted to be a doctor. I would go through my father's medical books as a child, and I was obsessed with the gory pictures of wounds that were oozing with pus and turning green and, the abscesses and all of that. I was really obsessed with it, and he always explained what they were to me. So I had an interest in medicine, and in many ways it was already set in stone that I was going to be a doctor because I wanted to be one. I wanted to be like Daddy. But then I came over to the UK, and the fact that my parents never stopped affirming us and told us how intelligent we were worked against me because I ended up not studying for A levels and I failed woefully and couldn't get into medical school. And so I then went and I studied pharmacology instead with the intention of switching to medicine, but then got married in my second year and became obsessed with doing up our flats. And that's when the whole interior design thing came into play. I would spend more and more time at home improvement stores and less time in lectures at University of Hertfordshire. And eventually I admitted to myself that I had dropped out. So I went and I did an interior design course and became an interior designer.
You've also had the taste of the American dream as well, haven't you? What was it like for you, losing the American dream and having to start over again?
That came about when my husband came back from work one day and said, why don't we move to the US? And I said, yes, let's go. And so we sold up and we moved over there. And there I got introduced to luxury interiors for babies and children. That was a whole new world for me. And we purchased this beautiful business and life was going well. We were living the American dream. The boys were happy. But then the recession hit in 2008 and we lost everything and then came back to England. It was hard. It was hard because I felt this is not supposed to happen to me. This is the sort of thing that happens to other people. Bearing in mind, I had never had any challenges in life. I'd never faced any real life challenges. So it was new for me and I rejected it. I was like, no, this isn't me. This isn't for me. But then when it came to a point where I couldn't deny the reality that was staring me in the face, the minute I accepted that we had failed, I had lost everything, I actually received a surge of power to start again. And so for a while, I denied and I hid from the reality, even though I was working in the background to get back up. But then I had the privilege of reading an article in a magazine one day where two different stories were told of the same woman. And one was very upbeat and inspirational, and the other one was very down in the dumps, real. And I realized I had only been telling that one story about myself and to others, which was the sad part of me. So I rewrote my story, and that just gave me such a boost of life, and it's changed ever since. So I don't really see failure as failure any longer.
And what led to the focus on luxury baby interior design?
It was because that was all I knew. So having lived in the US and the business I purchased in the US was a luxury baby furniture store, I got introduced to premium wood and craftsmanship that had been in families for generations, and just the very difference between an item made individually and being mass produced. And it made more sense to have items made individually, one, because we're unique beings, but also because of the attention to detail, the art, the craftsmanship that goes into each piece. And I just felt really drawn to it. And that's how I ended up here.
Coming back, this was even before COVID. What other challenges did you face, having a physical store in the UK?
The challenge with the physical store is obviously the capital outlay. It's and also we're in Chelsea. We're on the King's Road. King's Road is an iconic street in London, historically rich and expensive. So the financial challenge was more a case. I think I would say it was a walk of faith, believing that the furniture that I sold was so beautiful that when people saw it, they just had to have it, was really what gave me the courage to go for it. So I believed very much in the products that we sell. I still do. I believed in my ability as an interior designer to transform nurseries. And I also knew that it was such an untapped market, because in the United States, it's very normal for children to have rooms and nurseries that are out of this world. In the UK, it's still very understated. It's still very, people relegate the smallest room in the house to the nursery, and there was really not enough knowledge or not enough choice even now of luxury products and beautiful products that also give parents the flexibility to have exactly what they want. So that gave me the courage to get started, and we're still here.
And what advice would you have for other entrepreneurs who are just starting out, especially in the new environment faced with lots of cultural barriers and stuff?
Yeah, I think the key is actually in the question that you asked, is you've got to learn the language and the culture of the people. That was a lesson I had to learn when someone once asked me, I was with a group of business people, and someone asked me how was business, and I said, it's amazing. And it wasn't amazing. And the person asked the other women in the group, and they all said it was rubbish. And so I had to ask, why did you say that it was amazing when it wasn't? And I realized it was my culture, because in my culture, we don't admit to things being bad. Everything's always good. So so my advice to people coming into the UK or leaving Nigeria to go anywhere else, or even leaving Africa to go somewhere else, is learn the language and the culture of the people. Because when the gentleman went on to the next person and she said business wasn't going well, he had a lot of advice to give her. And guess who didn't have any advice? Me, because I said it was okay when it wasn't. So you learn and understand that by embracing and understanding another culture, you're not necessarily letting go of yours, but you're putting yourself at an advantage so you can make use of the resources that are at hand, and that's including people.
Tokumbo Aruoture, thank you so much for speaking to us on Diaspora Network. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
And that's a wrap for this edition of Diaspora Network. Remember, you can catch more amazing stories of Nigerians around the world on our YouTube channel and website, channelstv.com. Until next time, I'm Teniola Oyetayo. Bye for now.